Hello and welcome to a new episode of The News at Kate. And I thought today we could talk about democracy. Because if we've learnt one thing over the last month from the whole Brexit debacle, I suppose, that it's what proroguing means. Because let's be honest, a month ago nobody had heard of that word. People would have told you it was something out of Star Wars. And now we're all like, well, I was very disappointed with the proroguing of Parliament. Well, I feel strongly that proroguing is only acceptable under the most exceptional of stuff. Of course, they've prorogued before. Oh, I remember the last no. Nobody really understood what that was or that it could happen in this circumstance. And the thing is, we all think we understand democracy, don't we? We think that it's simple. One person, one vote. That's democracy, right? I mean, of course, we get a lot more than one vote because we get to vote in the national elections. We may well get to vote in one of the Scottish, Welsh or Northern Irish elections. We've got European elections. We've got local government elections. We've got police and crime commissioners. We've got referendum that come up. There's lots and lots of different things. So we get lots more than one vote per person. And they're all different systems, aren't they? So MPs are elected on a first past the post system. Literally the worst form of democracy that anybody has ever come up with, as far as I can tell. Like, the one thing you should never do under a first past the post system is just look at the candidates and see which one you agree with the most and vote for them. That is a disaster. That is only going to lead to people you strongly disagree with getting in. And then actually there is one thing you can do that's even worse than that in first past the post, and that's stand as a candidate yourself on issues that you believe in, because that will simply split the vote of all the other candidates that agree with you at all and mean that the candidate who is most diametrically opposed to everything you believe stands a considerably enhanced chance of getting in. It's a terrible system. European elections run on a proportional representation system, which certainly has its advantages, and some people feel that it doesn't represent them locally or whatever, but it's a system that definitely seems to be doing better than the first past the post system. Police and crime commissioners are elected on a supplementary vote system where you express your first and second choice, and some complicated mathematical formula that you definitely don't understand are applied to decide who gets the job. And then the people we have voted for that get into Parliament, they go to the House of Commons where they're part of a party system and people form coalitions or alliances to try to form a government, and the Queen is somehow involved, and then there's the House of Lords and they do bills and also early day motions, and things can be voted through, and amendments, a lot of amendments. Oh, there's always an amendment, isn't there? There's always an amendment. And does anybody really understand how that works? Well, let's do it. Let's have a little teach-in. Let's have a look at the Wikipedia entry for how UK politics works, just in case anybody's not totally up to speed. So the United Kingdom is a unitary state with devolution that's governed within the framework of a parliamentary democracy under a constitutional monarchy in which the monarch, currently Queen Elizabeth II, is the head of state, while the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, currently Boris Johnson, is the head of government. Executive power is exercised by the British government on behalf of and by the consent of the monarch and the devolved governments of Scotland, Wales and the Northern Irish Executive. Legislative power is vested in the two chambers of the Parliament of the United Kingdom, the House of Commons and the House of Lords, as well as the Scottish Parliament and Welsh and Northern Irish Assemblies, but the judiciary is independent of the executive and the legislature. You see, nobody really understands this stuff. Nobody really understands what Black Rod is doing or what the whole system is intended to achieve. And therein lies the problem, because when you create a system this complicated and this self-contradictory and with this much legal prattle and nonsense in it, what actually happens isn't that people vote for what they want and that ends up being what happens. What actually happens is people with a lot of power and influence pick out the bits that they think will suit their purposes and ride roughshod over the rest. And that is exactly what is happening now. And I don't know how we're going to get out of the Brexit mess, and I don't know how we're going to find a reasonable way through it. That's probably a subject for another video. Keep donating and I'll make more videos. But what I do know is this: if nothing else good comes out of this, we should learn the following two lessons. Firstly, people have a right to understand how the system works, and we should teach it in schools. People growing up in the UK should have a right to understand, because a lot of the argument around Brexit has been to do with migration, and the big irony is that when immigrants come to the UK and they want to become British, they have to take a British citizenship test, which means they have to learn about the structure of democracy and parliament in the UK. But British people who grew up here are not taught that stuff at school. So ironically, migrants to the UK typically have a better understanding of how our parliamentary democracy works than people who've spent their entire lives here. We have a right to understand these things and we should teach it in school. And the second thing that needs to happen would actually, I think, happen quite naturally if people understood the system better, which is that there would be big public outcry to simplify the system. There shouldn't be a system where Boris Johnson can ask the Queen and then go and prorogue things. That shouldn't exist. Parliament should be allowed to continue sitting while these decisions are made, right? This stuff needs to be done in a fair, sensible, and as far as possible, straightforward and simple way. We should get rid of the House of Lords because that's undemocratic nonsense. We should get rid of the monarchy because that's undemocratic nonsense. And we should look at finding a voting system that isn't first past the post. That means people are fairly represented and there isn't the opportunity for gerrymandering and vote splitting and all that insistence on tactical voting. And if we get nothing else out of the mess that Brexit is going to be and the disaster that a no deal will be, if that's what happens in the end, there would actually be something positive coming out of this. Look, News at Kate ends on a positive note. We can use this as an opportunity to reform democracy and to learn more about how it works and understand it. There's no perfect democracy, but we can do a lot better than this. Look at me, I'm all cheery. It won't last.